hot topics, leading-edge gear, techniques, and information to make you #1 on the water. Brought to you by Mercury.
So one of the hottest tactics that's come on the walleye scene in the last couple of years is slow death. Basically, you take a weighting system like a bottom bouncer, run about a 4-foot leader behind it, and then put on a slow death hook. Now this hook is kind of a funky shaped hook. It's got a big old bend to it like that. And what that hook does is actually imparts an action on a crawler, a spinning action that entices the fish to bite. Now there are times though that maybe you can't find real night crawlers, or there's situations where you don't want to use real night crawlers. Instances like when there's a lot of pesky fish around pecking at the crawler, or the fish are very aggressive and you want to quickly get your bait down in the water. In those cases, what you should look at using is artificial baits. Now, you can't just use any one because you still got to have that spinning action. So I'm going to show you two that I prefer. The first one is a Gulp 3-inch fry. And the little 3-inch fry, the nice thing about it is that it's a very limber tail, and you need that to get that nice flipping action on the back of this. When you're stringing this up, you're going to string it up just like always, right through the nose of the fry. String it on just far enough so that you can go over the eyelet, and you'll see that that hook still puts that bend in that little Gulp fry. And that's what's going to give you that spin under the water, but yet you got a nice flexible tail back here that'll be flipping in behind this. Still want to pinch it off so that only about a 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch is back there, and that's going to be a good little alternative. Now the second tail that I like to look at using is actually in the Gulp Alive series. It's called a sandworm. The sandworm's kind of a cool looking little deal. It's a real limber tail again. Let me set this down. So the sandworm tail is kind of a funky looking tail. It's got little tentacles coming off the side. It's also flat on one side. You want to use that flatness to your advantage. What you want to do is get that flat to go right around this bend. It's going to actually make this sandworm curl a little nicer. Because remember, no matter what you're hooking up on slow death, it's the bend of the hook that needs to put the action on the tail. You don't necessarily want the tail all crumpled up. You want the bend of that hook to actually give it that curl or that twist. And so you can see again here, I can clearly see where that hook is bending down in there and turning this tail. Again, when you do put the sandworm on, it's long enough, you can pinch it off. You can actually use that other half again for another setup. But that little twist in there and that little curl from that hook is going to give it that enticing action underwater. So again, we got two different great alternatives. If you don't have natural crawlers, or if the crawlers aren't working real well for you, try out that 3-inch Gulp fry, try out these sandworms, and you're still going to catch a bunch of walleyes on slow death.